I'm making this in between making a much more serious video soon about a problem I've noticed. Oh, fuck. I actually don't fucking know how good this quality is. Okay, that's where it starts. Oh, god damn. Fuck, I don't care. I'm making this a bit on a whim. It'll probably be pretty short. No, I'm not showing my face. I have to live with people, you know? My fucking annoying ass, and they want to have to deal with that face again on the TV. So this is going to be pretty short, but I want to talk about the Electric State trailer. I'll get to this damn book one day. Made by Simon Stålenhag, artist and musician. Where's he from? Swedish, okay. I only speak Imagine Dragons. I don't speak, ABBA. I have to be Swedish. Why couldn't it have been Pascal? The Electric State is gotten its new Netflix. I'm going to guess it's a TV show. It looks like crap.
Clem, get us out of here! Who throws a fridge? Son of a...
I should have put flowers in here. The Electric State isn't just one of the better books in the world. It is one of the best. It is a depressing look at a dystopian future, but it's also a lot about our world in a way, in an exaggerative way. It's got these absolutely gorgeous illustrations throughout, and it really does tell a subtle story without, well, with very little words. Flip to a completely, almost random page, and you'll just see beauty in it, like shit like this. And I'm sure the people Stålenhag pitched it to and sold the rights to understood that. I don't know why Stålenhag did sell the rights. I assume it might have been to make sure he had the name because of fucking AI. People were stealing his art using it, and it didn't even look that good. Someone did it with a dinosaur. What's wrong with you? But this trailer looks like pure crap.
Humans lost connection with each other.
It's just really generic. It has that same
Robots lost their
trailer music, you know, with the one piano key. God forbid they go to another key. God, they're already being overpaid as is. The effects do look good, but that's because the crunch they used on the effects artists are probably, you know, overwhelming. And that's not even including the other people who did, you know, storyboarding, or the writing, or the rewriting, or the re-effects, or the fixing of the effects, or the people in foreign countries who had to do it. I guarantee you this was hell to make. And it looks like crap. Not because it's bad, just the problem is they looked at this book. This is a depressing book. It's very much not about what the movie is or the show. They're selling it as some action nonsense, but it's not an action book. This is a sad road trip. And, okay, I'm gonna spoil the ending a tiny bit here, but here's the gist. The main character has this robot with them, and they just kind of meet, but the robot convinces, or at least the girl is convinced, that they need to go across country to her home, and there's a very specific reason for this. Through the story, we see a bunch of things. Even on the cover, there's this kind of sad, rotting robot. And it's confirmed that the robots are in some way alive. Some are sapient, some are just for attraction. We see a much creepier robot in an abandoned building in one of the scenes. It feels like a series of events, and it feels very unfair, especially when you see... It's so hard to breathe in here. This isn't it, but here's the advertisement for the thing they wear on their head. It's a, you know, it's kind of this super special VR headset. But if we go back, we can see a much darker version of what that's actually doing to people. This is not an action book, society. You know, there's like 3 different drag queens on this website who do it so flawlessly. How do you do that? You actually probably have a thermostat that you can afford. I don't. But you saw that still. This is not a book that's just meant to be like an action series. This is a sad, somber book about a future where people are driven and disconnected to each other for the sake of progress of technology and money. And especially with that ending and realizing what exactly happened to her brother and what her father did is depressing, but you understand it. And you understand why he was following them the whole book, and why there was this sense of being followed. And you see all these backdrops, these beautiful backdrops of warships are just abandoned and laying there, and there's just this big tragedy to it all. You might look at it and think that's just a fucking picture book for kids and shit. I'll get to that. That ending was one of the few endings of anything that actually made me cry. It does now, but back then, I was a stoic teenager who hated emotions. Yeah, that fucked me up. I was really sad about it, because it's a beautiful book, and it tells a very depressing tale about how technology just breaks us. And the sad part about it with the suits is that it's easy to think it's some hypnotic thing, but looking at the world we live in now, it's not. They didn't do that because they were like, oh, it's advertising. The world they live in is awful, and they escaped it, and they just wanted to stay escaping. And as shown with the twist of the book, Yeah, it's that easy. And when you realize that, real world starts to look a lot uglier, huh? But this trailer isn't like this because someone saw this and didn't understand it. Someone did understand it. What happened is they looked at the premise and people above the executive branch thought, well, could we make this an action movie? We could sell toys, and that's how we get this trailer. It's frustrating that this is how it is, and for a lot of reasons. But this is also how everything is. Like, I look at this trailer and I think, you were willing to give Endgame, fucking Avengers Endgame, you were willing to take that as seriously as they need to, but not this, and not fucking Avatar The Last Airbender. This is not just some kid's book, for the record. I know there's gonna be a few people who are like, well, it's for kids, what do you expect? No, it isn't. This is not a kid's book. This is a book for adults, and I mean that. It's a very mature and very depressing book. If you read this to your kids, they're just going to be confused. What is heavy about it is not blatant, it's subtle. And that subtleness combines with the beauty, and the ending feels unfair, but also feels like fitting. It's the kind of ending where I feel like I get it. It's sad, it's depressing, but you also understand why it happened. There's no way the show's gonna end like this. Like The Last Airbender, they took the premise of something extremely interesting and subtly serious and missed it. And they instead just took all the parts on the surface and remade it into an action movie because, oh, this sells better. And like, yeah, it does, but this is not what the book is about. It sucks. Like, the whole trailer feels like a, that happened thing, which is already dated and people are sick of it as is, but was this the best you could do? It's written like shit, and it's so generic. I'm sure the show might be better, but I don't know. I don't think it will be. I guarantee you it's gonna be generic slop that has some seriousness slightly in it somewhere. That's a train. And what saddens me is that this is how everything is now. And that's what's frustrating me. Every single movie or TV show that comes out in the mainstream, yes, the indie, I'll get to that, is like this, where it just doesn't take anything seriously. And obviously in the underground and indie space, yeah, there is space for genuine emotions, but that's not my problem. The reason this bugs me so much is that there's kind of this tendency people have where they just don't really take anything seriously, at least in the mainstream, kind of because they're primed not to. And because of that, we're having this issue where, yeah, obviously an underground serious thing can do really well and people will take it seriously, but the electric state is treated as a joke. Avatar The Last Airbender has a scene where, like, in the original, Sokka's being like, ha, these girls don't know anything about fighting. But there's reason for it. In the beginning of the show, Sokka is essentially the leader of the tribe. His father's gone. He has to be the tough man who takes care of everything, and the side effects come about that. He earned it, he deserves it, and all of Katara's waterbending is stupid nonsense magic and it'll die out, even though she's one of the last harbingers of it, and she's really good at it. So Sokka has that happen, he gets his ass kicked, and it's one moment in the show. But all they saw was the kiss at the end of the episode. But that's not why the kiss happened. The kiss happened because, you know, Sokka fucking learned his lesson, and I'm willing to bet, at least in the context of the show, Suki probably had a lot of people like that who just left thinking, that was dumb. And I think there was a message to that a person who's willing to learn from their mistakes and learn proper is a better person than someone who stubbornly pretends they know everything. The remake took this scene and replaced it with her looking at him in the shower, which is just fucking creepy. But also the problem that it misses the point of the original. Because of course it did. They didn't think it was, well, they likely look at it and thought, oh, that might be me. I don't want to think about that. Other people don't want to think about that, and they made it stupid. They made it like anime. And that's what this is doing. It's not taking it seriously because the thought of technological collapse isn't worth their thought, because all of Hollywood is ran on optics and business models and deadlines. And because of that, a book like this just ends up being treated like any other property, and it sucks. And that's on top of the fact that we're only getting adaptations of things that are really popular, which this thing only is because of Curious Archive, or at least that's one of the people who did it. I bought this book because of that guy. I watched Humanity Lost because of that guy. And this is what they would think of it. They just think of it as a joke, and it pisses me off to no end because this book deserves better. That's what I think. We need to have stories that are serious. We need to have stories that are heavy and really require you to think. And it's not that people don't know how to do that. It's that they think Hollywood isn't capable of it. And right now, they're fucking right. We need stories to be serious. I'm just realizing I'm saying all this while wearing this crap. Look, this is another thing I noticed, but even if you think, well, maybe it doesn't have to be an adaptation as an adaptation, we're not going to get a million Electric State movies like Godzilla. We're going to get one. And this is going to be the only one. Because now, the only person who owns the property is Netflix, and if this This is what frustrates me to no end. If this does well, it might survive a second season, and if it does poorly, it'll never be seen again. That's the world we live in, where the only media we actually have is either regurgitated and the new stuff has to already exist. And it's to a point where nothing is really allowed to get through, and if you want to make something new, you gotta be really lucky. That's what angers me. This should be taken seriously. We need serious stories because they're important. You might think, well, look at how you're dressed, buddy. You look stupid. This book cover looks kind of stupid. That's a dumb robot. Robots are stupid. They're for children. It's a children's book. Take that, liberals. What we need isn't just serious stories. I feel like the big issue just comes from Hollywood and people who need to learn that it's okay to feel something extremely uncomfortable. To learn that the world you live in is bad, but there's something human in being able to survive that. There's something human in being able to say, make the world a better place. There's something human in being able to look at how we're all attached to technology and think, this shouldn't be happening. And it doesn't have to. Yeah, you could dwell in it and be a miserable shit, but that's how this happens. Because someone else can look at that and be like, that's kind of funny, I'm gonna make that into a joke. But we can also admit that technology, as great as it is, as amazing as it is, it's scary, and maybe we aren't ready for it, but that doesn't mean it has to be that way forever. I wish that movie existed, and it doesn't. Instead, we have this. That's the video. My next video is going to be pretty heavy, serious. I'm going to be talking about the body, and I don't want to fucking write that script. And after that, I have an even more serious video. But after that, we're going to do the catch-up stuff, and we're going to end this year right. This has been a real sucky year, and this makes me angry. Thank you for watching, and be yourself. And be serious sometimes, and be goofy other times. Don't pretend everything is a joke. Some things are worth taking seriously. Cheers.